Over the past few days, we have witnessed the total destruction of Blizzard's reputation in real time. I've discussed the topic twice now as new developments unfold, but I feel it necessary to address the situation a third time since Blizzard themselves have released a statement. The goal of this address was undoubtedly to diffuse tension, which it might to a very small degree, but I find it far more likely that it will simply inflame their critics as they entrench themselves in a hypocritical position that merely exposes their true motivations and sentiment. I'll summarize the previous coverage and attempt to keep it brief since, as I said earlier, I've already discussed it twice before. Activision Blizzard has been expanding into the Chinese markets, predominantly focusing on mobile games such as Call of Duty Mobile, which is on track for Chinese approval. China has no reservations whatsoever about weaponizing their global economic positions to leverage cooperation in their goal of suppressing Hong Kong liberation commentary. And Blizzard, succumbing to this pressure for a variety of different reasons, took an extremely harsh stance against a Hearthstone player who made a statement about his position during a post-game interview in an official tournament. I'll link my previous coverage down below for those interested in a much more detailed analysis, but the gist of it is this. China takes extreme positions against such outbursts. There have been examples in other companies and organizations as well, such as Apple or the NBA, and Blizzard seemed to bend to that agenda by banning the player for a year, stripping him of any and all winnings, releasing contradictory statements to separate portions of the world where they condemned Blitzchung, that is the player's name, either mildly or harshly without consistency, and now, after their brand has become a raging dumpster fire of public outcry, they have released their own statement. I won't read the entire statement, it's honestly way too long for that, but I'll also link it down below for those who want to see it. The part that matters is in the middle. Third, were our actions based on the content of the message? Part of thinking globally, leading responsibly, and every voice matters is recognizing that we have players and fans in almost every country in the world. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality, like their passion for our games, and create a sense of shared community. The specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationships in China had no influence on our decision. We have these rules to keep the focus on the game and on the tournament to the benefit of a global audience, and that was the only consideration in the actions we took. If this had been the opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt and acted the same. Lastly, a paragraph at the end reads, "Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views." This statement is a flat-out, stone-cold lie. The intent is to deflect criticism that rightly focuses on their ethical malleability, which is born directly of a desire to maximize profit return. All Blizzard cares about is money. That is not to say that they are unique in such a pursuit, but this shallow pretense that they have any other guiding doctrine at all is horribly transparent and moderately insulting. Here's where I need to take a moment to clarify my own position, since we are about to go down a rabbit hole of potential controversy to prove the point that Blizzard has no backbone or values. Personally, I am not against the topics I am about to discuss. I am not arguing that they should not be allowed. I am arguing in favor of Blitzchung and against Blizzard's obfuscation and lies by comparing and contrasting similar scenarios, but I do not want that to be perceived as a call to action for the comparisons to be removed or attacked. The immediate connection to draw is LGBTQ awareness. Blizzard makes it very clear that they support, and I don't want to say the entire acronym every time, and I'm also pretty sure there's like 50 more letters and symbols now that I can't really keep up with, so I'll just say rainbow, rights and considerations. Blizzard promotes Pride Month. They sell rainbow merchandise, incorporate it into their brand promotions, marketing, and event details, as well as many more integrations that focus on comparable social issues. If we harken back to their official statement, moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social or political views. Here is where I will inevitably get screechers in the comment section saying that there is only one way to think, anyone who disagrees with the rainbow rights and issues are wrong and don't deserve an opinion, blah blah blah. Whether you agree or not, whether I agree or not, all of it is irrelevant, because their perfectly clear position is to disallow the use of their official platform to promote divisive social or political views. Regardless of where any individual watching this aligns themselves, rainbow rights and considerations in the United States is a divisive social view. One can now get all whiny about how it shouldn't be, and anyone who disagrees is offended or is not on board is a bigot, etc., etc. But the immutable reality that is not changing just because of some frantic liberal comment postings is that it is a divisive issue with tens of millions of Americans who disagree and do not wish to see it displayed in an official video game tournament format. Now, moving past America, let's take a step back and broaden our focus. Blizzard is a global enterprise which does business all across the world, and while doing so, there are dozens of countries where homosexuality is classified as a crime. During official Blizzard broadcasts and tournament interviews, there have been instances where signs promoting rainbow rights and issues were held up in the background crowd. Multiple characters in Overwatch are either gay or bisexual, as per their North American branding, and in America, these are seen as partially controversial social issues by some, but in other countries around the world, they are actual punishable crimes. Blizzard released altered international products, here in the United States, in direct contradiction to their statement about keeping the focus on the gameplay and disallowing divisive social or political issues. They openly integrate divisive social and political issues into their merchandise and branding because it is seen as a viable method to maximize profit. On a fundamental level, Blizzard is exploiting a section of their community who are struggling to gain equal rights and treatment because doing so will earn them shallow virtue signal credit points while also opening another avenue for additional merchandise sales and other profiteering methods. There are even grammatical indicators outlined by certain users on social media that point to a translation in certain paragraphs of their official statement. The post is labeled as coming from J. Allen Brack, the president of Blizzard, but when comparing the grammar to his actual speech patterns and referencing it to common Chinese interpretation language, there are signs that it is not in fact his precise words. That's a bit more conspiratorial right now, and may be a product of heavy PR editing or something as easy to explain as that, but it's still worth mentioning. Internationally, Overwatch does not have gay characters. The game does not display such themes in tournament proceedings because remaining consistent and promoting such advocacy, which they maintain is a core and foundational aspect of Blizzard's motto, would decrease their ability to profit in certain regions. Blizzard has effectively adopted very specific human rights causes in very specific parts of the world and not in other areas because doing so has absolutely nothing to do with inclusion or human rights or a legitimate moral and ethical position. It has everything to do with their fiscal year-end balance sheet. This video is not a call to action against rainbow rights and issues. Far from it. Instead, it is meant to highlight that Blizzard is using inconsistent policy on a massive scale to obfuscate the truth about their global position and policy. In one area, certain characters are gay, in another, they are not. In one tournament, there is an open and enthusiastic emphasis placed on gay pride, and in another, not a mention. They claim that it is their goal to make sure that all players of all political views, religious beliefs, races, genders, and any other consideration always feel safe and welcome both competing in and playing their games, but simultaneously take an extremely authoritarian approach to Hong Kong politics, release separate and different statements to isolated regions of the world, while claiming that their policy is to focus on the gameplay and only the gameplay without social or political issues, while using the very same social and political issues they censor in one country to profit in another. Immediately after my previous coverage of the issue, I received an email. I won't read the exact words or show it directly out of respect for private communication, but this was a Chinese viewer who expressed to me the complexity of Hong Kong sentiment, from a perspective I had never really even considered. In his eyes, what started as a rightful protest against extradition had devolved into a wrongful pursuit of independence, which economically and socially would lead to various problems. It's well and truly outside my purview to tell this individual they are right or wrong. They are also clearly more informed on the topic than I am, even after a lengthy session of research. But even if that perspective drastically and offensively deviates from mine, or anyone else's for that matter, I will defend his right to express it. The entire situation demonstrated to me that an issue seen as universal and agreed upon in my own social sphere and those around it is not necessarily so cut and dry in other communities around the world. And it also highlighted that Blizzard's stances, from top to bottom, are inconsistent and manipulative as they pick and choose which issues to support, promote, and ban on a subjective national scale. The final conclusion is that Blizzard released an official statement that deviates from everything that they have shown in recent months and years. The company has woven a web of contradictions so complicated they cannot possibly adhere to it anymore, and will only further damage their own reputation by trying to wiggle free. If they begin to consistently support on a global scale the same agendas they vocally advocate for within the United States, They're business craters. If they don't support those issues globally, some of their largest markets crater anyways as their long-running exploitation of important social issues begins to break down. They release different versions of a condemnation statement in China and the United States while saying that their relationships in China had no influence on their decision. But right alongside that, a similar outburst by Washington, D.C. American University team students, in which they held up a sign that said "Free Hong Kong, boycott Blizz," has, as of yet, received no punishment at all. By the standard of keeping the focus on the game itself, these university students should have been banned as well, which would of course have created an even greater uproar, which Blizzard likely knows, but as it stands, by preaching consistency and lack of Chinese influence in the face of undeniable hypocrisy and blatant Chinese pandering across their entire business model, Blizzard is digging themselves a grave that might never fully be reversed. Personally, I had planned to do an extremely positive video about World of Warcraft Classic. I had even done quite a bit of work on it already as well, but at this stage, even isolated from the political stances and implications, I cannot support this level of hypocrisy, so my own personal protest is to not cover or praise that game. If you want to support, there are links down below, merch, Patreon, Twitter, and some other stuff too, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.